The year was 2019, and Google finally unveiled its first ever budget smartphone, the Pixel 3a. Now, Google wasn't a newcomer to the smartphone game at this point, having launched some affordable devices in the past, such as its old Nexus branded devices. With that being said though, the Pixel 3a ushered a new era of affordable smartphones from Google, and it was actually my very first Pixel phone, and so I do have a lot of fun memories with the Google Pixel 3a. With that said, let's take a look back at what I think is one of Google's best smartphones of all time. Alright, so at this point, Google's strategy was to offer users a more affordable Pixel phone that still fell in line with the overall software and hardware design language as seen on its other devices. At first glance, you'd be mistaken to think that the Pixel 3a was the Pixel 3, but of course a closer look revealed some differences in terms of design. The Pixel 3 had a slightly smaller form factor due to the slimmer bezels, but overall they did look pretty similar. The biggest change that you would see was with the material that Google used with the Pixel 3a. So for this phone, they did use plastic instead of glass, but I'd like to think that the matte plastic that they used for the 3a was actually pretty nice, and it did reduce the likelihood of your phone cracking. Now, it did come with a 5.6-inch display, which might be small by today's standards, but going back to 2019, this was a time when smartphone designs were still a bit different. But yeah, the Pixel 3a's display was reasonably sharp, and since it was an OLED panel, it did offer nice looking colors, contrast, and saturation. In terms of design, the Pixel 3a was overall a solid looking device, and personally I did like the look of the phone. Now, this minimalist design was reflective of the software inside the Pixel 3a, which a lot of people would eventually dub the Google Pixel experience. Now, if you're familiar with Android, a lot of manufacturers often add some of their own stuff to the software. So Samsung's approach would be different from Xiaomi's and Oppo's and OnePlus, and so on. But with the Pixel 3a though, Google decided to offer users a cleaner approach to software, as it did back in the days of the Nexus phones. The phone launched with Android 9, and it did get updates until Android 12, which was pretty decent, especially during that time when budget phones rarely got regular updates from manufacturers. And so this further helped to set the Pixel 3a apart from other cheap smartphones at the time. I rarely experienced any lags or crashes when using the Pixel 3a, and the clean software was no doubt a big plus in terms of overall usability and day-to-day performance. You got a Snapdragon 670 chipset alongside 4 gigs of RAM, and while that might not be impressive today, again, this was an affordable smartphone in 2019. I even managed to play a few games on it, and the battery life was mostly decent. So again, it was a great smartphone for people who just wanted the basics on a reliable device. Now, of course, we did get some features that unfortunately aren't here with us anymore, like the fingerprint sensor on the rear panel, as well as a 3.5mm headphone jack, which, as we know, has pretty much disappeared with the arrival of the Pixel 6a a couple of years ago. And yeah, it's stuff like this that give the Pixel 3a that unique feeling that you get when reminiscing about the olden days of smartphone technology. Now, undoubtedly, the main highlight of this device was the camera performance. Now, it had a simple setup. It had a single 12-megapixel lens on the rear panel, as well as a single selfie camera on the front. But thanks to Google's brilliant computational photography, the phone's camera was able to punch well above its weight. And for a user like me who just wanted a device for casual mobile photography, the Pixel 3a was able to deliver excellent results. As I mentioned earlier, I think that the Pixel 3a was one of the best devices ever from Google. It was the entry point for me into Google's hardware ecosystem, and I'm willing to bet that a lot of Pixel fans also had the 3a as their very first Pixel phone. Alright guys, so that does it for this quick video. Let me know your thoughts about the Pixel 3a in the comments below. Did you have one back then? And don't forget to check out our other videos here on TeamVR. Thanks all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.